The day Emily Parker laughed in Ethan Brooks' face, the entire cafeteria laughed with her. Ethan stood frozen, holding a single red rose in his trembling hand. His heart had never beaten so fast. For weeks, he had gathered the courage to ask Emily out. She was the most popular girl at Lincoln High School. Beautiful, confident, loved by everyone. And Ethan? He was the awkward nerd, the quiet kid who spent lunch breaks reading books and building computer programs. The kid nobody noticed. Until that day. Ethan, are you serious? Emily said loudly. The cafeteria became silent. Then she looked around and smirked. You actually think I'd date someone like you? A few students started laughing. Ethan felt his face burn. I just thought maybe. Emily interrupted him. No offense, but you're not exactly boyfriend material. More laughter exploded across the room. Someone recorded the whole thing. Ethan slowly lowered the rose. His chest felt like it had collapsed. For a second, he looked directly into Emily's eyes. Not with anger, not with hatred, just heartbreak. Then he quietly turned around and walked away. Nobody followed him. Nobody defended him. And Emily never thought about him again. At least not for a while. Because after graduation, life separated everyone. Emily chased popularity, parties, and relationships. Ethan disappeared. Completely. Years passed. The viral cafeteria video faded into memory. But fate wasn't finished with either of them. Because one rainy evening, nearly 10 years later, Emily walked into a luxury hotel in downtown Chicago. And the moment she saw the owner standing in the lobby, her entire world stopped. Because the man she had humiliated years ago was staring right back at her. And he looked nothing like the boy she remembered. Emily almost dropped her suitcase. The shy teenager from high school was gone. Standing across the lobby was a confident, successful man wearing a tailored suit. Employees greeted him with respect. Guests shook his hand. Everyone seemed to know who he was. Ethan, she whispered. His eyes met hers. For a brief moment, recognition flashed across his face. Then it disappeared. Professional, controlled, almost cold. Welcome to Brooks Grand Hotel, he said. Brooks. His name was on the building. Emily suddenly felt dizzy. Back in high school, everyone thought Ethan would end up working behind a computer somewhere. Nobody imagined this. She spent the evening searching online. What she found shocked her even more. After college, Ethan had created a cybersecurity company. The company exploded in value. Major corporations became clients. Within a few years, he was worth hundreds of millions. Emily stared at her phone in disbelief. Meanwhile, her own life had gone very differently. Her marriage had failed. Her ex-husband had left her buried in debt. She worked 2 jobs just to survive. For the first time in years, she felt embarrassed. The next morning, Ethan unexpectedly approached her during breakfast. Emily, hearing her name from him, felt strange. You look well, he said politely. She forced a smile. You've done amazing. He nodded. Life has been interesting. There was an awkward silence. Then Ethan surprised her. Would you like coffee? Emily's heart skipped. Maybe he had forgotten the past. Maybe this was a second chance. But as they sat together, she noticed something strange. Ethan smiled. He was kind. Yet there was an invisible wall between them, like he was hiding something. And what Emily didn't know was that Ethan remembered every second of that cafeteria humiliation. Every laugh, every word. And he had a reason for keeping her close. A reason that would soon change everything. Over the next few weeks, Emily and Ethan spent more time together. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into long conversations. For the first time, Emily saw who Ethan truly was. Kind, intelligent, loyal. Everything she had failed to notice years ago. Slowly, guilt began eating her alive. One evening, she finally confessed. Ethan, I'm sorry. He looked up. For what? She lowered her eyes. For high school. The memory hung between them. For several seconds, Ethan said nothing. Then he smiled softly. I forgave you a long time ago. Relief flooded through her. Maybe they could finally move forward. Maybe the past no longer mattered. But later that same night, Ethan sat alone in his office staring at an old video. The cafeteria video. The one that had destroyed him. His smile disappeared. Because forgiveness wasn't the whole truth. After that humiliation, Ethan had fallen into severe depression. He nearly dropped out of school. He spent years rebuilding his confidence. Years fighting self-doubt. The success everyone admired had come from pain nobody saw. And then another twist arrived. Emily discovered she was being sued over debts left behind by her ex-husband. The amount was devastating. She would lose everything. Terrified, she confided in Ethan. To her surprise, he immediately offered help. The debt vanished almost overnight. Emily burst into tears. Nobody had ever shown her such kindness. That's when she realized something. She had fallen in love with him, the very person she once rejected. But what she didn't know was that Ethan had just made a decision that would test both of them. A decision that could either heal old wounds or reopen them forever. A month later, Ethan invited Emily to a charity gala. Hundreds of guests filled the ballroom. Business leaders, celebrities, investors. As the evening continued, Ethan stepped onto the stage. The crowd applauded. Then he surprised everyone, including Emily. A giant screen lit up behind him, and suddenly, an old cafeteria appeared. Emily's heart nearly stopped. The same video from high school. The room became silent. Every painful second played on the screen. Every laugh, every cruel word. Tears instantly filled Emily's eyes. She wanted to disappear. When the video ended, Ethan looked directly at the audience. Then at Emily. "I spent years hating this moment," he said. "I thought success would erase the pain." The room remained silent. "But I learned something important." He paused. "The people who hurt us often don't understand the damage they've caused." Emily was crying openly now. "I could have used my success to humiliate her the way I was humiliated." The audience waited. Instead, Ethan walked down from the stage, straight toward Emily. Then he held out his hand. But revenge doesn't heal people. Emily covered her mouth. "It only creates more pain." For the first time in years, Ethan finally let go of the burden he had carried. Emily took his hand, not because she deserved forgiveness, but because he chose it anyway. Months later, they started a foundation helping bullied teenagers rebuild confidence and self-worth. Together, they turned their worst memory into hope for others. And that became Ethan's greatest achievement. Not the money, not the hotels, not the success, but refusing to become the person who hurt him. Because life's greatest comeback isn't proving people wrong, that it's proving that pain doesn't have to turn into bitterness. Sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is heal, grow, and choose kindness. When revenge would be easier, and that choice can change not only your life, but someone else's too.